Meet President Trump. I voted for you 3 times, sir. I know that you have a bunch of very capable executives in your administration. Heads gotta roll, my man. Heads gotta roll. This is it. If we don't see indictments, if we don't see arrests, if we don't see people in handcuffs, and people in jumpsuits, people in front of the freaking judges the way all of the January 6ers were paraded for years, then everybody's gonna know that MAGA was bullcrap, that it stands for nothing, that it means less than that. It means spinning your wheels, pie in the sky, vote for me, we're gonna change things. We want it now, sir.
Well, that was Trump Girl with a scathing message from the base for President Donald J. Trump. Guys, the temperature is rising very rapidly. People are extremely fed up. Just a couple days into the new year, 2026, I've got Allan Paul Roberts back. He's the author of The Globalist Plan to Collapse Everything to Usher in a New World Order. And he agrees with Trump Girl, as do I. Ladies and gentlemen, people are so fed up. There's now open talk all over X of a tax revolt coming in April. If this government is going to throw the people under the bus and allow looting to just continue unabated, then nobody will be paying their taxes in April. Friends, before we start this one, just a quick word about a valued sponsor. You guys have probably seen the headlines about Ozempic and similar miracle weight loss devices. Major analysis found that people who stopped taking these weight loss injections gain nearly all their weight back within a year, and that's if they don't have other health complications. This is why I like BioTrust's GLP-1 Elevate, and everyone is obsessed with the weight management results they're seeing with it. It'll help your body naturally trigger the same hunger-controlling, craving-reducing signals that Ozempic claims to, but without needles, prescriptions, or scary side effects. It also promotes the feeling of fullness, helping reduce hunger hormones. It supports fat loss instead of muscle loss and helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels. For a limited time, you can grab BioTrust GLP-1 Elevate for 40% off only at trimwithsgt.com. Plus, you'll also receive a 60-day satisfaction guarantee and free express shipping on subscriptions. Once again, go to trimwithsgt.com to get this deal right now. The link is below. Hey friends, welcome back. Thanks so much for being here. Sean from SGT Report. And 2026 is sure to be a roller coaster ride. I can tell you, author Allan Paul Roberts and I agree on that. Let me read just a page from his book, The Globalist Plan to Collapse Everything to Usher in a New World Order. Quote, the Central Intelligence Agency owns everyone of any significance in the major media. End quote from William Colby, CIA Director, 1973 to 1976. I'm beginning to wonder, who owns Harrison Smith? Did y'all see that exchange between Harrison on Candace's Spaces the other night? He got hysterical, and he told Candace, the whole Fort Huachuca thing is going to be a big nothing burger, and in 2 months, nobody will remember. It's like, come on, dude. Do you want to get to the truth or not? Friends, what you're looking at on my screen right now is the action in silver on Friday. Don't worry, no signs of capping the silver price at all. Okay, nothing to see here. That's a completely natural chart formation as silver trades, I think, over $120 in Japan. Something like 110 per ounce in Dubai, close to 100 in China. But don't worry, folks. Don't worry. The bankers got you covered with paper because everybody knows you can build solar panels in the future with paper silver. Let me welcome back to the show, Allan Paul Roberts. How are you, Allan?
Doing fantastic. Happy New Year to you, Sean.
Hey, Happy New Year. It's good to see you again. And, I got an email from you regarding your new podcast. I want to pay it forward. Let's get the word out. The Globalist Plan to Collapse Everything podcast. You can find the Rumble channel here at rumble.com/The Globalist Plan. This is in conjunction with iHeartRadio. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right there. We're going to be putting out a series of 11 additional podcasts initially, one on each of the 11 pillars of society that are under attack. And that's what the book's all about, that the podcast is based on.
All righty. Well, I've got some clips queued up today, but let me just explain to you and the audience. I don't need to explain this to anybody, certainly not you or the audience. I really mean the normies. Guys, get this word out to the normies. The globalist plan to collapse everything includes making you a serf and turning your formerly valuable silver half dollars into paper silver that you can't get at any price. You guys realize a half dollar right now at Kennedy, half dollar made out of silver is worth like 26 bucks. We used to have real silver and real money in our pockets, didn't we, Allan? But those days are long gone, and the sheeple people are in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, and the warning signs have been with us for so long, and you've been talking about it forever, and so many others have. And I was invested in silver and some gold for the last 8 years or so, and it was so frustrating just watching it go nowhere. And then all of a sudden, the word got out on the paper silver market and how suppressed it is and how artificial it is and how they don't really have the silver to cover what the paper says they're covering. And all these silver promises are just evaporating. And finally, the lid's been lifted, and it's starting to really go, really starting to skyrocket. Especially like you said, if you look at the real price in Japan and China and other places where it's not suppressed.
Yeah, well, there is a chasm that is widening between the paper market in the West and the physical market in the East, as China and India hoard as much silver as they can. And we heard reports, moving into January 1st, Allan, that China is locking down their vault. They're locking it all down. No more silver exports without express written consent from 44 licensed dealers in China. And let me assure you, folks, none of those companies will export a single ounce of physical silver without the express written consent of the CCP. And that means precious little silver will be coming westward, Allan.
Yeah, and I was shocked. I almost don't believe what I read, but I read recently that they are in control of 70% of the world's supply of silver shipments. Did you know that?
Yes, and they've got the refineries. I think we have one refinery left in the West.
Jeez. We've been it's not just that, it's just with everything, with all the strategic minerals and everything, they've been planning this for years. They plan in decades and centuries. And in the US, it seems we plan in 4-year presidential cycles. And, they've just monopolized almost so many precious resources. And, you just wonder, can the West wake up at this point or not? I think we are starting to wake up, but it just feels like that expression, the barbarians are at the gate and the drawbridge is down, is how it's starting to feel.
Well, it's funny too, because that quote that I just read from your book, it's apropos because I saw a headline. I shared this with David Jensen in a broadcast the other day, but the headline I think was from CNBC, claiming that it isn't maybe AI and the AI data centers that are the bubble. It could be this metal, referring to silver. And I thought, isn't that funny? Isn't that interesting? They lie out of both sides of their mouth 24 hours a day because what a joke. You can't build AI data centers without silver. I saw a similar post from a big Bitcoiner the other day who said, silver is garbage, gold is garbage, Bitcoin is truth. And I tweeted back to him and I said, look, brother, you can't build Bitcoin mining centers without silver, physical silver.
You can't get away from it. It's at the heart of all the high tech, and it's in short supply. And with the batteries, the all silver batteries now, that they say they'll go 600 miles on a charge, and a recharge only takes like 9 minutes. They say that that's going to add another 40% demand between the two companies that produce them, one in China. But that's going to add the equivalent of the 40% of the annual production of silver just for those batteries.
Yeah, those are Samsung solid state batteries we're hearing about. And some reports indicate that one of those batteries requires a kilo of silver. Yeah. That's 32 ounces and change of silver in one battery. So where are they going to get all that silver, folks? Where are they going to get all of that physical silver? Okay, well, what I did say in my year-end review, guys, is that the two biggest stories of 2025 will continue to be big stories in 2026. What are those stories? Well, number one, who assassinated Charlie Kirk? And number two, what is the real value of 1 ounce of physical silver? Now, getting back to who assassinated Charlie Kirk, guys, would it surprise you to know that Nikki Hilton married a Rothschild? I've talked about that in the past. Yes, the famed Rothschild family. Well, we're hearing a little bit about the Rothsteins because Erica has a cousin. The video is all over the place of Erica saying she never dated, she didn't date, she didn't like the date, she didn't drink. But now we have video of her doing exactly those things, dating and drinking on a reality TV show, etc. But evidently her cousin, Nicole Rothstein, Erica's cousin, Nicole Rothstein, is very, very well connected and comes from old money. Rothstein, Rothschild. Take a listen.
You might not know Erica's exact family lineage, but presuming that they are Rothsteins, it's rather strange then that Rothstein shares family ties to another family, another prominent Jewish family that has been the center of many theories for hundreds of years and has been involved in everything from currency manipulation to economic crashes and to assassinations and everything in between. And that family would be the Rothschilds.
All right, I'll pause it there. You guys can get the scoop over at Project Constitution. They're doing good work, trying to actually get to the bottom of the story, the real story, who actually ordered the assassination and carried out the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I just think it's fascinating that Erica Kirk's past is coming out really to haunt her at this point. And anybody who hasn't been drinking the Kool-Aid is probably scratching their heads and wondering now, as I do, is Erica Kirk an asset of an intelligence agency? I think that that is probably the case. I wonder, Allan, do you have anything to comment regarding, the assassination of Charlie Kirk before we move on?
Well, the thing that I feel like it is done, among other things, I mean, there's been some, positive things that happened in terms of a lot of people joining the organization in their, bringing the organization into their high schools, let's say, or colleges. So in that sense, it's been good. But I think, unfortunately, it's caused so much dissension in the, in the community of people who are, let's say, right-leaning, confusion and dissension that I think it's been something that is dividing people so much that it really concerns me because, everybody has a very strong opinion about this, and it's really hard to have a meaningful conversation because people are so passionate about it, and, you talk about psychological operations. It almost makes you wonder if part of this was a psychological operation in part to derail the momentum that was going on, with Charlie Kirk's organization, with the political effectiveness of it, to just kind of undermine it and change the whole discussion about it.
Well, look, I think you, as the author of this particular book about the corruption of our complete and total corruption of our financial system, would be interested in knowing about the fraud at TPUSA, the infiltration of TPUSA by a Zionist element. And it seems real clear to those of us paying attention that Charlie sussed this out before he was assassinated. He ordered a Doge-style investigation into the finances at TPUSA. He wanted to know where the money is coming from and where the money is going. And there is a lot of smoke coming from TPUSA, but they don't want you to see the actual fire. Listen to this.
Let's go look at the 990 forms that Turning Point USA submits to the IRS every year. These contain their annual financial statements. When you look at the forms, there are some very strange anomalies. Several of the 990 forms are missing. Turning Point USA lists 4 related entities. There is Turning Point USA, Turning Point Endowment, Turning Point Action, and America's Turning Point. All different organizations do slightly different things. The Form 990 for fiscal year 2024 is posted for Turning Point USA, but it is missing for all the other 3 organizations. It looks like it was never turned in. This is a massive red flag. So Tyler Boyer is being snarky on X.com and telling people to go look at the annual financial audit, but the financial audit is missing from last year for 3 of the 4 organizations. This strange decision to hide their financial statements happened 4 months before Charlie Kirk was murdered. I will repeat for clarity. Someone at Turning Point decided not to file 3 of the 4 of their annual financial statements 4 months before Charlie Kirk appointed a new COO, requested a new audit, and was murdered. Those 3 financial statements are still missing.
So to be clear, that was another point.
Let's go look at the 990 forms that Turning Point USA submits to the IRS every year. These contain their annual financial statements. When you look at the forms, there are some very strange anomalies. Several of the 990 forms are missing. Turning Point USA lists 4 related entities. There is Turning Point USA, Turning Point Endowment, Turning Point Action, and America's Turning Point. All different organizations do slightly different things. The Form 990 for fiscal year 2024 is posted for Turning Point USA, but it is missing for all the other 3 organizations. It looks like it was never turned in. This is a massive red flag. So Tyler Boyer is being snarky on X.com and telling people to go look at the annual financial audit, but the financial audit is missing from last year for 3 of the 4 organizations. This strange decision to hide their financial statements happened 4 months before Charlie Kirk was murdered. I will repeat for clarity. Someone at Turning Point decided not to file 3 of the 4 of their annual financial statements 4 months before Charlie Kirk appointed a new COO, requested a new audit, and was murdered. Those 3 financial statements are still missing.
So to be clear, that was another point that they gaslit me on when I told you that it was unusual that 7 days before Charlie died, he said that he wanted to establish Doge, right? Tyler came out and lied, and he said, this is just totally regular. And Alex Clark said, oh, every year since I've been here, this is what we do. And the guy starts this video by being like, you have to be an idiot to accept that as an answer. Of course, doing an audit has nothing to do with internally establishing a Doge, right? He recognized that something was wrong at the organization. And as I told you, okay, because I do not miss on these things, he was not just concerned about where the money was going, he was concerned about where it was coming from. They gaslit me on when I told you that it was unusual that 7 days before Charlie died, he said that he wanted to establish Doge, right? Tyler came out and lied, and he said, this is just totally regular. And Alex Clark said, oh, every year since I've been here, this is what we do. And the guy starts this video by being like, you have to be an idiot to accept that as an answer. Of course, doing an audit has nothing to do with internally establishing a Doge, right? He recognized that something was wrong at the organization. And as I told you, okay, because I do not miss on these things, he was not just concerned about where the money was going, he was concerned about where it was coming from.
All right, let me pause it there. I'm coming back to Allan. Allan, the point is people got nothing but questions regarding the financing at TPUSA, but trust me, officialdom says there's nothing to see here. The FBI's got it covered. Tyler Robinson acted alone and murdered Charlie Kirk. The people have had quite enough of it. And by the way, I'm going to play some clips, some warnings for President Trump. The base is very near a revolt at this point, Allan. The base is getting mighty fed up with this BS.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does. It does seem like, the base is in a real uproar because they were expecting results. They were expecting perp walks. They're expecting people to go to prison, especially when they look back on the way Trump and his whole team were manhandled under the prior administration so egregiously, and now nothing happens to them. It's just too much to take. And I think people are, kind of jumping out of their skin at the injustice of it, and they're looking for action. I mean, it seems like the only place we're seeing real action is, with Tom Homan and, deporting some people, rounding up some of the bad guys. But other than that, it's really hard to find any justice. It's frustrating. It's maddening.
Well, I got more for you guys. Look, I don't want to be Debbie Downer. You guys know I voted for Trump, supported Trump. I'm just starting to feel like a lot of other people are feeling. Okay, it feels a little bit like our country has been conquered without a shot ever having been fired. And I'll give you an example of that since Allan just mentioned basically ICE. Okay, they're trying to clean stuff up, but okay, who have we been infiltrated by? A lot of people would say the Zionist element, the same Zionist element that infiltrated TPUSA, has infiltrated our government. And it looks like Trump kind of bent the knee to Bibi Netanyahu. It kind of looks that way with Mark Levin putting his arm around Trump in the White House saying, our first Jewish president. Well, how badly infiltrated have we been? Listen to this regarding ICE agents and IDF soldiers.
I need everybody to save this video just in case it gets taken down again. I just did a video about 30 minutes ago. I've been trying to get it appealed. The appeal did not get approved. Anyways, I presented some identities, okay, of certain ICE agents located specifically in Chicago. A group that I associate myself with went through some public records and found over 2,000 ICE agents, right? Well, throughout those 2,000 ICE agents, specifically 121 of them, right, had experience as an ex-IDF soldier. If you went up and down this entire list of individuals, you'd notice that their last names in particular, right, all lead back to one specific location with no other job experience. And maybe it won't let me post it because it's personal information. I have no idea. But there's literally a whole motherfucking list of these people and they all look the same. Which tells me exactly why they're choosing to hide their faces, because just imagine, right, if some information like that were to get out. Which is why I'm making this video once again. I'm just saying, if you look into the background of these specific individuals, you might notice that they're not exactly a U.S. citizen. That in itself would prove everything, especially why they're acting the way that they are.
Why am I playing that clip? Well, I'm playing that clip because if it's true, Allan, I'm coming back to you. If it's true, that's very nearly as bad as UN troops wearing blue helmets all over our inner cities. Why would we allow IDF soldiers, masked IDF soldiers, posing as ICE agents to gather up, round up anybody? Because what if, Allan, what if they started to round up those that they believed to be dissidents who were speaking out a little too strongly against the state of Israel in the infiltration of our government? I just posit the question as a citizen journalist, Allan. It seems a little dangerous to me.
Well, I mean, if it's true, there's really no excuse for it. I mean, we wouldn't be hiring that percentage of people from any country. I mean, it's a problem for any country, but given all the, apparent conflict of interest with Israel these days that's going on, that is shocking. I mean, that is, there's no excuse for it. I mean, what possible reason could it be? I mean, are we hiring mercenaries from all over the world? I mean, I know they're trying to ramp things up unless they can show something similar with other countries, and I don't think they can. That is highly disturbing.
It is highly disturbing, as was, the embrace of Mark Levin putting his arm around President Trump and President Trump acquiescing to that kind of body language in the White House when Levin said, our first Jewish president. Sorry, people are bumping on it. And I want to play this clip from Real AF with Andy Frisilla because Andy has a warning for President Trump regarding the base. Guard your ears, okay? Fair warning. Expletives are coming your way, but this is righteous indignation. Listen to this, guys.
I'm going to say this right now, and I mean this, okay? Donald Trump, you've lost touch with your fucking base. You've lost touch with reality of what people actually want to see, and the people around you are either not telling you the truth or you're fucking in on it. And if you're not in on it, I would appreciate for you and I to have a discussion so I could inform you about what these people really want. Okay, so this can go on Twitter and, you can have your people call me and I will get my fucking happy ass on an airplane and I'll sit down and enjoy a motherfucking Big Mac with you and we will fucking get real clear about what people actually want, because the motherfuckers around you are either full of shit or you're in on it.
Yeah.
And that's where people believe right now. Okay. And here's the thing.
A lot of people believe that.
Yes. And here's the thing. Okay. I said on last show, you're going to go down as the president who had the opportunity to fix this country and chose not to. And you might say, oh, well, that doesn't really fucking matter. Well, you know what? It's going to matter because your kids are going to get blackballed in America. Okay. Your legacy is going to be ruined.
All right, he's going pretty hard in the paint there, but Allan, people are getting so fed up right now because of the corruption in Minnesota, Ohio, Pennsylvania. It looks like all the blue states, probably red ones too, with the Somali fraud. Well, guess what? Appears to be a lot more to the story there. We'll get there. ... Israel. I mean, honest to God, Allan, all roads lead to Israel at this point, and people are damn well fed up.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard General Mike Flynn the other day on Alex Jones on his show, but he was sounding the alarm. He was saying kind of what you're saying, that we have to go hard on getting these people, in prison, in perp walks, some real justice, because what he claimed was happening based on his inside sources, he being General Flynn, is that there are people on the inside that are getting ready to go against the conservatives, the people who are really shining the light on what is going on, going after Flynn himself, going after Alex Jones, going after everybody that is uncovering the truth about the lack of action and who's in control of the government. I mean, his hair was on fire. I've never heard Flynn. He was close to losing control. I mean, some expletives were flying. That's just not like him. But he said they were going after him. They're going after his wife, making up stuff on that. They're basically trying to frame people to shut them up and to shut them down. And that's coming from within, elements within the Trump organization itself. And they're talking about, they were putting the message out there because they wanted Trump to hear it, because they know that his team listens to that show.
Well, I don't know if you happened to hear the exchange on Candace's Spaces the other night, where InfoWars reporter Harrison Smith was part of it. In fact, she invited him on specifically and welcomed him first and gave him the floor first. And he completely embarrassed himself over this whole Fort Huachuca thing. It honestly looks like, for the first time in the 30 years I've been following Alex Jones, it really looks like InfoWars has bent the knee. And they don't want this Fort Huachuca thing being investigated or talked about. And those of us following it are just asking why. What in the hell is going on, Harrison? You really, really embarrassed yourself. But Ryan Mata is doing good work. And Ryan Mata has another warning. I think it's part and parcel to the one we just heard from Andy Frisella. People are absolutely fed up. And while they were all partying at Mar-a-Lago on New Year's Eve, the American people are worried about how to pay their bills as the fraud continues, the looting continues, and there isn't much being done about it.
Or if you were like me or one of the other tens of millions of American citizens who couldn't afford to go out and celebrate New Year's Eve last night because, I don't know, your government's robbing you blind and you're paying 50 to 70% in taxes, let me just show you what a New Year's Eve event looks like at a place like Mar-a-Lago, where all the billionaires, our unelected bureaucrats, the ones that are hand appointed by Trump that we thought were going to go in there with a mandate and do the job that we hired them to do because they're our public servants. Well, yeah, the public servants who haven't done a gosh damn thing for us, well, they probably deserved a break, right? Like Kristi Noem dancing to Ice Ice Baby next to Stephen Miller, of course.
Sorry for a quick break, guys. If you're over 40 and planning to retire someday, the window to protect what you've built may be smaller than you realize. Here's a question most people never ask. Is your portfolio built for what's coming next? The debasement of our currency? Many investors in their 40s and 50s discover they have little to no exposure to precious metals. That means their savings are largely tied to markets, policies, and paper assets, with very little real protection if conditions change. As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon for you, protecting what you've already built becomes just as important as growing it. That's where Noble Gold Investments comes in, helping investors reduce risk by adding physical gold and or silver to their portfolios. Right now is a smart time to talk with Noble Gold Investments. This isn't investment advice. Do your own due diligence. But we can promise you this: no pressure, no sales gimmicks, just clear answers and a strategy built around your goals. And for a limited time, you can receive this 3-ounce American Virtues Independence Silver Round as a bonus available for new qualified accounts. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com and build your portfolio for the long term. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. The link is below. All right, I'm going to pause it there. We're going to keep playing this clip, but Allan, I got to tell you, maybe 6 months ago, people wouldn't be bumping on this so hard. But people are bumping on this really hard now because the American people are strapped. We are taxed to death. Now we got new wars happening. Venezuela, we don't know what that's all about. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But no arrests, no high-level arrests. Christie there dancing her ass off on New Year's Eve. She wants a real ID for every American to comply with. People are fed up while Charlie Kirk's assassination goes absolutely unaddressed by this government. I'll continue.
So while your unelected officials party like rock stars with all the billionaires at Mar-a-Lago, the average peasant, you and me, maybe we just are thinking a little bit differently. Let me jump over here and talk about Trump Girl. She says the truth about the Somali fraud in Minnesota, a message to real Donald Trump. Check this out.
And so I'm going to say this to the President of the United States. Hear me, President Trump. I voted for you 3 times, sir. I know that you have a bunch of very capable executives in your administration. Heads gotta roll, my man. Heads gotta roll. This is it. If we don't see indictments, if we don't see arrests, if we don't see people in handcuffs, and people in jumpsuits, people in front of the freaking judges the way all of the January 6ers were paraded for years, then everybody's gonna know that MAGA was bullcrap, that it stands for nothing, that it means less than that. It means spinning your wheels, pie in the sky, vote for me, we're going to change things. We want it now, sir.
All right, I'll pause it there. Look, people are so fed up right now, Allan, that they're talking about a tax revolt. People are starting to realize the only way to change anything at this point, if heads don't roll, I don't think Walz is going to get arrested anytime soon.
Yeah,
the only way to take this thing back is to stop complying, stop paying taxes, and have a literal revolt in this country.
Yeah, I mean, she said it perfectly. I think she said exactly what all of us feel. It's what we were just saying before you played that. I mean, I think the zeitgeist is exactly heads have to roll, and this has to be big time. I mean, we're talking massive arrests. It has to happen because people are losing heart. They are. When they're starting to talk about not paying their taxes when they see what's going on with the Somalis and all the abuse there, it's just like a bridge too far. I mean, if people don't get arrested now, when will they get arrested? Hillary was able to delete 30,000 emails. Everybody saw that injustice, and nothing happens to her. And yet you get Roger Stone, attacked in the middle of the night, arrested by the FBI with their guns drawn, kicking down doors. I mean, you couldn't have a greater contrast between the two administrations and the two senses of, what they can get away with and who gets persecuted. I mean, is the problem the judges? Is it certain people in power? I mean, I've heard some people really come down hard on Todd Blanche that he's blocking things, that's where things are supposed to get done, and that he's blocking a lot of things. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not close enough to it. But it seems like there's judges and there's people in key positions that are just putting the brakes on, stalling, snuffing out any good effort that's being made. People have to get fired within the administration. They really, if they're blocking things, they need to go. They need to go quick or be investigated and removed, or both. It's too much. I mean, something is really off the rails here.
Let me ask you your thoughts on somebody like Mark Levin, and then I want to play a clip regarding the Somali fraud. It's a lot bigger than just Somalis. I saw a really intelligent X post the other day that said, a group of Somalis, no matter how well connected to Ilhan Omar, a group of Somalis can't get away with stealing billions of dollars in the state of Minnesota and go unnoticed. All right. That can't happen by accident. So what is the real story here? More on that in just one second. But what did you make of that moment in the White House with Mark Levin wrapping his arm so tightly around President Trump, proclaiming our first Jewish president?
This is our first Jewish president. This is our first Jewish president. This is our first Jewish president.
It seemed like a coming out party, because I want to remind people that that's the same Mark Levin who's essentially allied with Ben Shapiro, who says, make your choice, MAGA, make your choice, Americans. It's me and Shapiro in Israel or Candace Tucker in MAGA, Candace Tucker in America. They're literally asking us to choose another country over our own at this point.
Yeah, it made me sick, and it made me think about what I had heard on the percentage of our own lawmakers who have dual citizenship with Israel, and the people in positions of power throughout government, not just them, but in all kinds of positions that have this dual citizenship. How does this happen, and why is it with Israel? Why are so many of them dual citizenships with the state of Israel? That seems like a total conflict of interest. And it just makes you wonder how deep this goes, because everything seems to go their way, right? Everything seems to go their way, and they seem to have their hand in so many things. It's shocking. And I don't think most of us knew this a year ago. I mean, not to the extent that we're seeing it now.
Yeah. Yeah, it just goes to show that the money masters who print the currency out of thin air and have had the privilege of doing so since 1913, they bought up absolutely everything of consequence, including the politicians. And I'll remind you guys, when Hillary Clinton was running for president in 2016, one of her biggest allies was Lady Rothschild. Okay, she got personal emails from Lady Rothschild. And the Rothschilds' tentacles, well, they spread all over the globe, right directly into the state of Israel. The Balfour Declaration, of course, being part and parcel to the recreation and the refounding of the state of Israel. And I just want to play this clip regarding the Somali fraud. Wonder where this road leads to. Hard to say. Here's James Lee.
Apropos, considering what that reporter, that Israeli reporter, was talking about, and how Israel just became the first country to recognize Somaliland. And what does that mean? Let's take a listen.
Does anyone know what Somaliland is, really? Said U.S. President Donald Trump after Israel became the first country in the world to recognize the self-proclaimed republic in Eastern Africa. Somaliland is a small territory in the Horn of Africa that broke off from Somalia in 1991. It has its own government and elections and has been largely stable, but until now, no country has officially recognized it except for Taiwan, which is an unrecognized country itself. Over 20 countries criticized Israel's recognition of Somaliland. So why does Somaliland even matter? It sits on the Gulf of Aden, one of the world's most important shipping routes, home to US, Chinese, and European military bases, and across from Yemen. That matters even more now. Since the Gaza war began on Hamas's October 7 attack, the Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen have fired hundreds of missiles and drones at Israel, and attacked shipping in the Red Sea, prompting Israeli airstrikes in Yemen. That has raised the strategic value of Somaliland's coastline. There is also a Gaza-related angle. Earlier this year, it was reported that the US and Israel have explored Somaliland as a potential destination for displaced Palestinians from Gaza.
Bing, 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 bing. What are we going to do with all these Gazans? How do we turn it into the new Qatar, Gaza Beach? I will warn you guys once again, too, as Candace said, anybody that goes there to enjoy a vacation in New Gaza Beach, once they get rid of all the Gazans and move them to Somaliland, anybody that goes there to that blood-soaked territory to enjoy a vacation, well, you will be cursed, your children will be cursed, and your children's children will be cursed. Isn't it interesting to learn Somaliland may possibly be the destination for Gazans that need to be removed from Palestine for the Greater Israel Project? It's all making sense now, isn't it? The Somali, you think all this money is going to the, oh my God. Allan, this is insane. Boy, now I'm starting to get angry. I'm starting to get about as angry as Andy Frisella. Allan?
Oh, this is, I've been wondering what was going to happen, because if you've seen the aerial views of Gaza, I mean, they turned it into a parking lot. I mean, have you seen, I'm sure you have, you've seen the clips of hospitals being blown up, with missiles in Gaza. And, my point is, it's unlivable. I don't know how anybody could live there. I mean, all the infrastructure is destroyed. I would imagine the water supply, all kinds of infrastructure that you need to just live is gone. And so, and that was over the top. That was a ridiculous amount of destruction. So it does seem like they were trying to turn it into a parking lot and just, bulldoze the whole place and start over like that was in the plans, because it's so over the top. And there was so little discussion about how bad that was around the world. It was very muted. Now, some countries really spoke out. The countries that typically are anti-Israel, they spoke out, but among the West, there wasn't much being said, and So here we go. That's where they're going to go, probably. I mean, they have to go somewhere, is my point. And it seems that no one will take them, not even the regular Arab countries that are around them would take in the Palestinians. So you just look at this and you wonder if this wasn't the plan all along.
You know, you can see people moving around down there. I mean, this is absolutely an abomination. It's an open air genocide. And again, anybody that will go there to vacation in the future, folks, I caution you. I caution you. There are people buried under those buildings. There are bodies under those buildings that Israel blew up. Apartment buildings, hospitals, schools. Because Hamas, when we know Bibi funded Hamas and stood down on October 7th, got to tell you, Christians listening, please break your conditioning and don't fall prey to the Zionist narrative of Christianity, because you're being duped. I think, can we leave people with that? The Zionist Schofield Bible narrative of Christianity? You got to bless Israel no matter her crimes. I'm sorry, I think Jesus probably bumps on murdering men, women, and children in Gaza. That's what I personally believe, Allan.
Yeah. And I mean, anybody that really studies even the Old Testament in an honest, objective way would see that all through Israel's history, when they stepped outside of God's will, they ran into problems. I mean, in exile for hundreds of years. So it's not like some political organization we call the State of Israel is somehow infallible and can enjoy the world looking the other way no matter what they do. That's wrong. But like you said, I think many Christians in this country have been conditioned to believe that, and they believe it as a default position. And they believe it so completely that it's very hard to break through it. I mean, what really woke me up again was just seeing these hospitals blown up with, these missile strikes. I mean, the hospital obliterated with one hit. And then the aerial views of it, when they first started coming out, I just said, this is so heartless, so over the top, so cruel that no Christian should accept this, in my opinion. They like you said, they need to get out of that mindset, that preconditioned mindset that just gives them a pass for everything.
Yeah. I think as we round out the conversation, I just want to read a little passage here from your book, page 86, about who owns the world. Control is in the hands of a few elites. And you've got these QR codes in the book, which is super handy, guys, because if you're reading the book, you just take a snapshot of that QR code and it will take you directly to a video or a documentary, in this case, titled Monopoly, Who Owns the World? It's a great handy dandy way to educate the normies by buying them this book equipped with the QR codes, because then it takes them to the documentation they can watch or listen to in their spare time. Tremendous book. But who does own the world? What was your ultimate conclusion? Can you sum it up in 30 seconds, Allan?
I will try. I think it's a combination of the global banking structure, which, would then get back to, families like the Rothschilds, the banking families. In the book, there's that video takes you to a short clip where they are doing all these searches on what company owns everything. And, as many people know at this point, Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street together own or have controlling interests in virtually every major brand in the world. And at the top of that pyramid is Vanguard, which owns the other two. And then Vanguard was created in such a way that you can't know who owns it, who has controlling interest. So I guess the short answer is whatever families have controlling interest in Vanguard basically own the world. And, my hunch is that it's the bankers, but then they have their major pawns, the heads of state, the heads of the military, all the communication, they have control of the media, except for the alternative media, which is why in the book I say the alternative media is the free press, and there's no free press outside of the alternative media. Not that everyone in the alternative media is good, but the alternative media, people like you and many, many others, really are the source of objective information, right or wrong, but they're free to make their own mind up and to project what they feel is the truth, because they're too small to be owned in most cases.
Yeah. And I agree with you 100%. I would even go a little further and say that I believe that the people that own this world, the monopoly masters, the money masters, they also own because they founded the intelligence agencies.
Yes.
So that's why we're in so much trouble, guys, because they own the deep state. They own it all. The corporations, BlackRock, Vanguard, and the CIA, and the Mossad, and the MI6, and the MI5, and they work together. And I guess I would just say this. We come full circle. We'll talk about silver. Allan, I watched a video. I played it for David Jensen, and it was eye-opening. I knew this, but this guy brought a really great spin to it. You know, in, say, 1963, go back to a time when minimum wage was $1.25, paid in silver quarters, quarters with silver in them, $1.25. Those same quarters today are worth about 70 bucks. So
Incredible.
in silver terms, had they not demonetized our money, minimum wage would be at least 70 bucks an hour today. At least that would be the equivalent purchasing power. My point is they've demonetized us, and now it's easy to see how they can just buy off everybody with their fiat dollars for pennies on the dollar. You know, when you see these guys, these senators get $800,000-$900,000 from AIPAC or whatever as a donation to their campaign, that's chump change to the bankers, because they've already devalued that money so many times over that 800,000 today is probably the equivalent of about 50,000 bucks in 1963, Allan. They're buying us out with fiat.
Yeah, they are, and that whole system's coming down. We know it's coming down, but I think that's all part of their plan is to actually bankrupt the banking system, except at the very high level that they control. That's in the book as well. I do believe they want to collapse the majority of the banks as part of their plan to collapse society. I think they are 100% serious about their goal of it's 2030 and you own nothing. And I think these 5 years, 26 through 30, they are going to be historic. They are going to be like a roller coaster like we've never been on in this country. I think it's going to be the equivalent or a similar level of stress in this nation as the Civil War was, because this is a worldwide thing. The whole Western world is in on this ride right now between now and 2030. I think the mistake we make too often is we don't take them at their word. But I think they absolutely mean it. And I think it's our job to resist it, to get in the way, to spread the word, and to open people's eyes and create a tipping point of resistance so that they're not able to get their way.
Well, from your lips to God's ears, we need divine intervention at this point because, you know, what Andy Frisella said is right. Same thing with Angry White Guy I played the other day for David Jensen. Yeah. People are pissed off because they feel sold out. And Mr. Trump, anyway, people are feeling very betrayed right now. People are feeling very betrayed. All right, tell us about the podcast. iHeartRadio podcast, The Globalist Plan to Collapse Everything podcast. We can find it over here on Rumble. What's on the agenda? And how often are you going to be doing this?
Yeah, so it's going to start off. We have the initial episode, which you can get on my Rumble channel, rumble.com/The Globalist Plan. Will get you there. You'll see the introductory podcast that's there that kind of sets the floor for the whole conversation. And then we're going to have 11 future podcasts. They should start probably late January. One on each pillar of society that my book talks about that is under attack and in danger of falling. If anyone wants to check out the book, you can go to globalcollapsebook.com. And there is a tab it says 11 pillars. You can see the 11 pillars of society that we're talking about. So each one of those pillars will be an episode. And the reason I'm saying we think it'll be late January is because we're trying to line up an expert on each of these pillars. So if anybody has suggestions on who should be invited to be a guest on those shows, iHeart will be doing the outreach, but just go to my website, click on the contact page, send in your idea of who we should contact to be a guest. And if anyone's listening who would like to be a guest, if you have real expertise on any of those 11 pillars, again, go to the contact page and let me know. And we'll reach out to you if we think it's a good match.
All right, very good. I will leave the link below to the Rumble channel and to that website I just showed. The book, guys, The Globalist Plan to Collapse Everything to Usher in the New World Order, in their own words, by Allan Paul Roberts. I think it's a must-have for sheeple people. We probably should have done this broadcast right before Christmas. People could have handed them out as presents, but they know where to get the book now. I'll leave it linked below. Allan, thank you so much. Thanks for bringing in 2026 with me.
Thanks so much, Sean. It's always a great time being on your show. I really appreciate what you do, and keep up the good work. Really appreciate you, man.
Thanks, brother. All right, guys, I know this is hard. It's not like I want to go hard in the paint at Trump, but Kash Patel and the FBI don't give two shits about who actually murdered Charlie Kirk. Okay, so we got that. Okay, there's that. Trump also wants to pardon Netanyahu for war crimes and genocide, so there's that. There's that. I mean, there's some elephants in the room that must be discussed, and it's painful. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I got to go there. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, right? I always thought, what am I going to do? Things are going to be so great under President Trump that I'm not going to have much to talk about. How naive was I? God, Ellen, how naive was I? All right. Thank you, brother. Happy 2026.
Same to you, Sean. Take care. God bless.
God bless. All right, friends, thanks. If you're still with us, we appreciate you very, very much. I'll remind you every single day for free. Check us out to get the real news 24/7 at sgtreport.com. And until next time, God bless you and yours. Bye-bye.
What snapped the system was the movement of 235 million ounces from London to New York at the end of 2024 and the beginning of 2025. And what we've seen there basically is a empty barrel in the London markets where all these billions of ounces of claims still sit. And the world is going to become very local, Sean, and I think it's going to become very local in 2026. The London and New York markets are going to become increasingly irrelevant as it becomes clearer even to the most asleep people out there that they are selling promises, they're not selling actual goods. And that you can inflate promises to infinity. You can increase them without limit, and that's what has happened over the decades. And now the fraud is folding in on itself.